So when you start looking yourself as a relationship manager, probably the quality of work goes drastically because a relationship बनने में साल लगते हैं. I believe the technology is going to change a lot of things, but it's very difficult to replace a relationship manager.
Hello everyone, welcome to our new podcast which is Champions of Campus Placements. I am Rahul, your host for today, and with me is Mohit. So Mohit is managing everything from campus placements at Rishihood University, and he is a very dear friend who I have known since 2019. So thank you so much for joining on the podcast today.
Thank you so much.
So आज का जो podcast है हम लोग both English and हिंदी में रखेंगे, and the idea is to actually understand and go deeper into how things are changing with the technology. जो टेक्नोलॉजी अभी आज की डेट में हम हर जगह सुन रहे हैं, एंड इट इज़ changing a lot of industries. बहुत ही तेजी से you can see that the tourism industry has changed completely in itself. Hospitalities has been changed. So like we'll discuss कि what is that technology का impact हमारे academics पे, हमारे placements पे, and how people perceive the jobs and the campus jobs that is what we are going to discuss today.
Sure.
Great. So would love for our viewers to, if you can just give a little bit introduction about yourself, about the kind of experience जो कि मुझे पता है कि it has been huge that you are carrying under your belt. So would love to do.
So yeah, hi. So my name is Mohit. I started my career basically from healthcare industry. So I started working with Philips India. So Philips has a very huge vertical in healthcare domain. Then after Philips, we started our own startup. Again, it was into AI/ML. We were designing softwares for diabetic patients. Because of diabetes, your retina get impacted. We call it diabetic retinopathy. So worked in that startup. Then I joined NIT Kurukshetra. I was heading the placements for NIT Kurukshetra. And from the next year, I was heading the placements for two campuses. One is NIT Kurukshetra, another is IIIT Sonipat. So that was a huge experience working from corporate to moving to a typical placement industry was really different. So I was very excited for that role. And then I worked with SOIL, School of Inspired Leadership, and after that I joined Great Lakes also. For some time I worked with Great Lakes, and recently I'm working with Rishihood University. And so Rishihood basically is like Education for Impact University, and idea here is to get the rules where we can probably help the learners in getting exponential career path. And coming to your question, what you said, like how the industries are changing, I would say it like get updated or get outmoded is the only thing which the learner should keep in their mind. The way the technology is revolutionizing in 21st century, every day we are thousands of jobs which were relevant from last 20-30 years are getting outmoded. So we need to keep in mind that if we are not going to upgrade ourselves with time, it's going to be very difficult for you to thrive in this VUCA world. So to thrive in this VUCA world, it is very, very important that you continuously upgrade yourself. That is the only thing. You be in the technology part, you be in the management part, you work with a startup, you work with a structured MNC, it doesn't matter overall. In the long term, what matters is that whether you are continuously upgrading yourself or not.
राइट. अब जैसे टेक्नोलॉजी में एक जो सबसे बड़ा कंस्ट्रेंट है वो वहाँ पे मतलब जार्गन्स बहुत सारे हैं, लाइक यू नो एवरीबडी इज सेइंग कीप अपडेटेड, कीप ऑन अपग्रेडिंग, जैसे अभी आपने भी बोला ये वाली चीज़ पे. अब व्हाट डज इट मीन फॉर अ स्टूडेंट हु इज़ इन सिविल, हु इज़ इन मैकेनिकल, हु इज़ इन इलेक्ट्रिकल इंजीनियरिंग, या फिर वो बायोटेक्नोलॉजी से कर रहा है, सो द कोर्स इज़ नॉट चेंजिंग. सो what are your thought processes onto that? Like you are seeing on both the parts. आप student learners को भी देखते हो, आप रोज companies से भी बात करते हो, you also try to understand that part. So यहाँ पे technology का कैसे वो upgradation करें, मतलब जो civil engineering से हैं, mechanical से हैं, या कुछ जो core branches हैं उनसे हैं students.
See, first thing I believe most of the industries they always look for whether the students fundamental is clear or not. That is very, very that is something which is non-negotiable. Let's say even you are working in bio और आपको अगर basic fundamentals ही clear नहीं है, सो उसके बाद चीज़ें आती है कि टेक्नोलॉजी क्या चल रहा है, लेटेस्ट ट्रेंड्स क्या चल रहा है. मोस्ट ऑफ द लर्नर्स विच आई फील दे आर फीलिंग राइट नाउ इज they are not comfortable with their fundamentals part. So fundamental is an area where they need to invest a lot. Second area probably where they need to invest a lot is understanding the latest trends in the market. So it's our bad luck that the education industry is not getting updated as per the industry phase. But as a student, as a learner, we need to ensure what are the latest things going in our market and probably how we can upskill ourselves in those particular. There are a lot of certificate courses. There are a lot you can go and you can have mentors from the industry people, but understand what exactly it is going in the industry part. That is
Right.
more important.
Right.
Understanding, and then you probably you customize your preparation plan is the best strategy I believe we can have.
अच्छा, तो जस्ट टू समराइज इट, इज इट लाइक कि फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल हमारे बेसिक्स क्लियर होने चाहिए, एंड देन आफ्टर दैट यू कीप ऑन अंडरस्टैंडिंग द इंडस्ट्री ट्रेंड्स रादर देन ब्लेमिंग द एजुकेशन सिस्टम एंड लाइक यू नो जस्ट वेस्टिंग आवर टाइम ऑन टू दैट पार्ट. जैसे अभी आपने बहुत सही चीज बोली, या तो keep on updating or keep on getting outdated because there is somebody who is fighting for your spot.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right. तो ये तो हो गई learners की बात when we talk about that. How do you see campuses and colleges? Like, you know, there is clearly a segmentation that is out there. There are one which are government-led or central government-led institutions that are there, IITs, IIMs, and ITs of the world. And then there are also in the ones that are private universities, but they're the leaders. They have been leaders for the last 15 years, 20 years, and they have understood the trends. तो जो individual colleges हैं या फिर जो colleges ऐसे हैं which are upcoming, what are things that they should look out for? जो आज की वॉर दैट इज गोइंग ऑन टू गेटिंग मोर एंड मोर एडमिशंस एंड स्टेइंग रेलेवेंट. जैसे अभी आप एक ये भी चीज देख रहे होगे, ओवरऑल थ्रू आउट द होल वर्ल्ड इट इज लाइक कि द डिग्री डज नॉट मीन एनीथिंग, स्किल्स इज समथिंग. तो व्हाट आर योर टॉप 3 टिप्स for these colleges, and specifically I want to ask on the placements wala part pe. So what are the 3 inputs from your side that how they can stay relevant, how can they move with the technology, and how can they bring impact to there?
So first part, like where most of the colleges are struggling is that probably they are unable to set up the right expectations to their learners.
Right.
They need to ensure that they give the right exposure to the students and tell them what is exactly happening in the field. Because देखिए, आप एक क्यूबिकल में बैठ के बहुत फैंसी एक्सपेक्टेशंस रख सकते हैं कि यार मैं MBA कर रहा हूँ, MBA करने में पता ही मुझे कैसा जॉब मिलेगा. But you know, every MBA job starts with the field work, right? You have to go and work in the field. You have to talk to the customers. If you're not comfortable with that, probably you're not. I don't know why you're doing MBA in that case. Right. So first thing is expectation settings, and that comes from both the management end also, the university end also, and from the learners end also. They should be like, okay, if I'm doing something, I will be able to go to the field and will explore the basic all about. Only then my fundamentals will build up. Second part, where most of the campuses are not focusing, is the corporate readiness module. That is very, very important. See, there should be, like we were discussing initially, the finishing school wala part. There should be something which bridges the academic with the corporate expectation that we can call corporate readiness modules. There should be trainers actively involved. There should be people like you involved into the picture who clearly tell the students and the faculties that this is something which industry is expecting from us. Right? And the student also get to understand whether competencies are mapped according to those skill sets or not. Right? Again, it's a reality check. And third is to focus a lot on the internship part. A good internship, or probably you can say, I'll say it a flip hiring model, where students get an opportunity to go and work in the market, and then market and the student, they both come together and understand whether we want to take this association further or not. Probably that can also solve our high attrition rate challenges which most of the NITs are facing right now.
Right. No, I can definitely relate to all your 3 pointers. सबसे पहले मैं third से start करता हूँ. तो when I was in college, when I was in NIT Allahabad, so I was mad crazy about working in an organization. I'll not name it now, but I was very much moved by that idea, and the whole college knew that this Rahul is preparing for that company. But luckily or unluckily, however you say, they came to campus. I did not get selected in their campus placement, but I was offered an internship. I did that internship for 5 weeks, and I was clear that I do not want to work in this industry.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, what would have happened, that I would have gotten the offer, and after 6 months baad, I would have to, like, you know, take myself out of that. Or no, that is very, very right. Okay, so these 3 pointers are very legit, but Mohit, like, you know, हमारे बहुत सारे व्यूअर्स भी हैं एंड वो भी अलग अलग सेगमेंट से आते हैं. सो कॉलेजेस भी दो पार्ट में डिवाइडेड है. इफ आई लाइक बी वेरी ओपन एंड वेरी कैंडिड ऑन टू दैट पार्ट, देयर आर कैंपसेस विच हैव अ लॉट ऑफ मनी टू स्पेयर. There are campuses which have like there is a person who is also teaching there, and they have been given a responsibility for training and placements. So what are these people that they can do? जैसे अभी course readiness वाला बात हमने लोगों ने किया. So they train themselves, like they get to know, they talk so much, they also understand about that, or should they outsource it? Or do you think that AI is something that has made it very very easy, that ChatGPT has made it very very easy? Is there a point or an angle that you can think of where they can get all these benefits at a very minimal cost by involving an outsourced agencies onto that part? So what are your thoughts on that?
See, I always believe whether you have resources or not, that's a different thing, but to get the results in long term and to have a sustainable and scalable model in education industry, it's always to go ahead with a very focused approach. If you are into academics, it's better you do academics. If you are into the training wala part, it's better you do the training wala part, because eventually we understand that the unemployability rate is very very high, right? Like as a fresher, if I go into the market, probably there are thousands of students who are already they are experienced also, they're searching for the same job, right? So it is very very important for me to ensure that I compete with these people and I do better, because you as a startup probably believe in hiring an experienced guy in comparison to the fresher, probably because then you have to train 6 months and then you probably don't know whether he'll stay with you or not. So right, so in that case probably I feel it's better if you have some dedicated resource on the campus. If you do not have, please don't do it like you give it to the faculties and give them a chance that okay, you also take the corporate end. That is something which is happening in most of the campuses. I'll be honest with you, because to save that small amount of resource, you are probably doing a lot of damage in terms of the career path.
Right.
I'll say.
So the better option is to actually outsource it by the time you cannot put a dedicated resource.
Absolutely, that is a better, because probably that is that's just like the finishing part. If your product is not finished well, probably it's very difficult to go and sell in the market.
Right.
So अगर वो finishing अच्छा नहीं होगा, quality कैसा भी हो, तो वो finishing वाला part is something like, for example, let's say if I forward the CV of the student, basic part is how you name your CV, the formatting part of that CV, right? If these basic hygiene are not in place, probably interview wala part to baad mein aayega. Thousands of CV are receiving, out of that you are just selecting probably 5-10%. 5-10% में से आप शायद 10% को interview के लिए बुलाएंगे. So अगर आप वो 1000 में आप competent हैं but आप उस 90% में eliminate हो रहे हैं, तो then it doesn't make sense, right? So starting phase में, I guess you should be very focused on investing in these resources. They are very very important.
And I think that this is a very valid and legit investment point.
Absolutely,
from the investment point of view, because it is going to give you a return of
and placement. I believe most of the people look at it as a sales job, but it's a relationship management job.
Yes,
it nurtures over the year, right? So you should focus more on investing, that you have a right person who is able to invest in your relationship building profile. So it's a very strategic role. If you look at it from that sense, probably the campus placement scenario which we have nowadays in the campuses, they will drastically change.
Right. Okay, so this is a bit of a controversial question that I'm going to ask you. So you have worked with both government-led organizations when you were working with NIT Kurukshetra, and now you're working with the organization Rishihood, where it is very very industry focused. Suresh Prabhuji is one of the leading members of this university. The management is very very industry focused. They do not shy away from acknowledging that what is changing. They do not shy away from adopting automation. They are very proactive in that approach. You have seen this whole journey. What do you suggest कि जो colleges आज की डेट में आ रहे हैं, should they be resistance to that approach कि automation अभी सही नहीं है, and if we can put a 15,000 का person and he can get the job done, we should do that? Or should they explore automation opportunities proactively? मतलब इन दोनों में कहाँ डिफरेंस मिला? जैसे आप एक प्लेसमेंट सेल पूरा अपना मैनुअली मैनेज कर रहे थे एक्सेल पे, और एक आप मैनेज कर रहे हो विद द हेल्प ऑफ ऑटोमेशन टूल्स. सो व्हाट इज द डिफरेंस दैट यू कैन सी ओवर देयर?
सी फर्स्ट इज एक चीज़ को करने में मेरे को मान लो कि 2 घंटे लग रहे हैं और उसी काम को अगर मैं 10 मिनट में कर सकता हूँ, द स्मार्ट पीपल विल से दैट ऑफ कोर्स गो एड विद द टेक्नोलॉजी, इट डजंट मैटर अगर वो थोड़ा सा आपको चार्जेस में आ रहा है, बट आप लॉन्ग टर्म में ओवरऑल उसको देखते हो तो दैट इज कंपैरेटिवली इकोनॉमिकल इन कंपैरिजन टू हैविंग अ डेडिकेटेड रिसोर्स एंड गेटिंग दैट. But answering it, like I'll say, get updated or get outmoded. Education is not an easy industry. While working with the corporate, I used to feel that it's easy to run a campus, institute, universities, right? But honestly speaking, there is a huge competition into it, right? Everyone is trying to probably upgrade themselves, but the problem with most of the universities is they are rigid in their the way they have evolved over a time, that it's very difficult to bring changes into that.
Right.
And that thought process need to be challenged, and then there is a huge need that we come up and we adapt the technology and how we can integrate it into the placement ecosystem. That is very important.
I feel the same too, because like the other industries which you have changed, a huge change has come when they adopted technology very proactively on that part. You have also seen a good shift, a big shift in the thought process of learners as well. Before pandemic and after pandemic. Now the industry, मतलब because जो job वाला segment है, internship वाला segment है, it is more demand driven. अगर आज में मेरे को AI के डेवलपर्स चाहिए और ML चाहिए, मशीन लर्निंग के डेवलपर्स चाहिए, तो वो चाहिए, like you know, I'll find it out from somewhere and I'll fit these people in there. It is not a supply driven that is out there. So there is a lot of thought process that has changed, that where young people want to work with brands, they want to work in positions which are not target based, they do not want to get their hands dirty, to summarize it. What is your message to them? Because डिमांड तो उतनी तरीके से, उतनी तेजी से चेंज नहीं हुई है, राइट? सो हाउ शुड दे थिंक अबाउट इट एंड हाउ शुड दे थिंक अबाउट देयर करियर एट दिस पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम?
See, I'll say every job needs a sales component, and by sales we also mean the field job, calling people and selling your product. What I see is whenever I interact with the people, they resist a lot toward the sales job.
Right.
Probably we may had some bad experience in the past, that you know, maybe B2C wala part, cold calling and some stuff like that. But you know, these things also teach us a lot in the early days of our career.
Right.
And initially during internship, you used to get that type of profiles only, most of the people. But I believe that if you are resistant toward the sales angle or going to the field angle, then probably your career path will not be exponentially in a better direction. So it is very important that you just ensure that there will always be a sales component, there will always a field component, there will be always a ground component into your domain. And the more the early you accept it, the better your career path will be.
Right.
And the change, I believe, is that most of the people feel that, you know, even getting into some brand and stuff like that, even if you're a tech guy working in some of the let's say reputed companies, even then you will be selling your tech product.
Exactly.
Maybe you're not selling to the Indian client, maybe selling to the US clients, right?
So that is what I have heard and learned over the time. But you are always selling.
Absolutely.
So you sold this, like for a student, you sold this degree to your parents to fund you.
Absolutely. There is always a component of that.
There is always a component.
You need to understand that. You as a CEO probably selling a lot of things to your employees as well, to your investors as well, right? And we as a faculty also, we are selling our skills to the students, right? Everyone is doing a sales component. So it's just like we just simply ignore that, no, I'm not a sales guy, but if you're a good sales guy, you will have a
and what are your thoughts on Narayan Murthy's 70 hours a week
probably statement? I have not reached to a level that I can honestly comment on that part, but I believe it's a personal choice. But what thing we need to ensure is that at least we spend decent amount of time in personal development. That is very important. The work and everything will keep on going, but if we are not investing on our personal development, we'll very soon be facing a lot of challenges, the way technology is evolving, the way job market is reshaping.
Right. Okay, so just makes us come to the last question, and the last question is, as a training and placement officer, as somebody who has seen like a CRC cell for over the time period, and NIT Kurukshetra से लेकर ऋषि हुड तक, like you have seen it all. So what are your 3 suggestions to the training and placement officers जो अभी आज की डेट में इतनी बड़ी responsibility अपने ऊपर लेके चल रहे हैं, and they have to manage 3 मेजर स्टेक होल्डर्स, कॉलेज मैनेज करना होता है, कॉलेज मैनेजमेंट, कंपनीज मैनेज करनी होती है, स्टूडेंट्स मैनेज करनी होती है. सो व्हाट आर योर 3 tips or like how they can manage it and how they can improve in whatever they are doing?
First thing is, I will say you look at this profile as a relationship management role.
Right.
And I believe the technology is going to change a lot of things, but it's very difficult to replace a relationship manager.
Right.
Because relationship बनने में साल लगते हैं, समय लगता है, आप बहुत सारी चीजें आप उसमें इन्वेस्ट करते हो, एक ट्रस्ट बिल्डअप होता है, right? And something which is difficult to replace by a technology, right? So when you start looking yourself as a relationship manager, probably the quality of work goes drastically high. Right. So that is very, very important. Another thing is that you should have I guess you should be slightly courageous to have open conversation with the management, because sometimes management expects a lot of things from you, that let's get this much hike in the CTC, and probably you compromise the quality of work just to get these people placed in those roles. Probably they'll not be a good fit for their career part. So if you are able to place the right candidate in the right profile, probably also contributing in nation building. Because see, you are running a startup, right? If you are unable to hire the right set of people, it's very difficult for you to grow, right? If you're not growing, probably a lot of other people are also feeling the same part, right? So it's a nation building process. So it's a huge responsibility. It's good to have conversation with the management as well, with the faculties as well, with the students as well, and set up the right expectation. That is very, very important. And third is, this industry is going to grow a lot. We have not probably tapped into the right way. We still resist a lot, and we still focus on the same traditional methods of getting people placed. That is something which is not going to work in a long time. People are coming up. You need to be open. You go and shake hand with the industry people. Ensure that you have a continuous pipeline of people coming into the campus. You cannot sit in isolation and build a world-class university. That is simply not possible. Just be friendly with the technology.
And then I think that can only be done when we have a spare time, when we are not spending 2 hours for a 10 minutes task. So
that is basically should be a role of in the strategic part. I believe if you're just spending your time in getting your day-to-day activities, you'll never be able to plan for tomorrow. So you need to ensure that you have some space where you can think and you can see how these things can work down the line, 1 year, 2 year, 5 years. So strategic building, absolutely.
No, thank you so much, Mohit. Thank you so
much.
Thank
you so much for having me here.
Really amazing conversation, and thank you so much for watching this whole podcast. We'll keep on coming up with new podcasts with a lot of members, and this is the Champions of Campus Placements. Thank you so much.